It is right. So, guys, I had another listen to that Lunacy track, and I thought I had a listen. I thought about the beginning bit and all of the bits through it, and I suddenly got worried that what you guys might want to do is to learn exactly what's going on and learn it, and then every time you hear that track, you'll do it the same way each time because that's the way you've learned how to do it. And I thought I'd just kind of cover in this lesson a point that's not really the best way of enjoying this music. It's not actually about that. When you're in a session, you're playing this kind of music. If you're in a band, it's different. You kind of come up with arrangements. It's a sort of set thing. Not all the time, but generally, especially with a band like Lunacy, it's a learned set thing. But in a session, and when you've got the opportunity to play with different musicians, and you might never see these musicians again, remember, you might go traveling around Ireland or the rest of the world. You could be down in Spain or wherever, you know, you'll find an Irish trad session or similar Celtic-esque music where you can put your backing skills to use and enjoy yourselves and let other people enjoy what you're doing. And you might hear these tunes again, especially the Breton one, because, you know, they have a vibe and a feel, and you don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again because you'll get bored. People will eventually get bored of your playing because it's just the same. So my point being is, for this lesson, is I want to sort of think about the different tools that we can use to storytell with the music that we're doing. So kind of ignoring what Donnahue's doing on this, Donna's doing on this, we're going to kind of imagine that we're playing along with him on stuff. He's doing this really nice sort of picking at the beginning. And we can do something on top of that, and it doesn't have to be exactly what he's doing. It can just sort of work and harmonize with him and complement him. And if we've got enough skills, we've got a bit of picking skills, we've got a bit of strumming skills, bit of shimmer, and then the dampening. We can start getting together a spontaneous storyline so that you're able to work with musicians and build tracks. These tunes get repeated over and over again, and it'll give you the opportunity to not play the same chords over and over again. It's a lot of backers and a lot of musicians feel that there's only one chord and it's the right chord. I fundamentally disagree with that because I think it goes completely against the principle of music and chords and notes as a bit of a sort of, you know, a wheel, if you will, and it's like a spiral staircase, and you can kind of place yourself in different spots. Yes, there are chords that you can play that are shite, and they really will come across as a bad chord. But the better you get as a musician, the more you can cover those chords up by the next chord that you play or the next thing that you do. And in a session environment, it is spontaneous. So I thought I'd just sort of show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to go play through this track again. We can get it to play. For feck's sake. I fucking hate technology. Just play the fucking track. So that's just something I'm coming up with. Nice slide up there, it's very simple. trying to keep it simple now. As soon as I hear that bass move, I'm responding. So I'm letting the guys do their thing on their arranged track and I'm responding. So it doesn't matter if he's done a triplet and then I've done one afterwards. It's actually quite a nice effect as long as I'm on the button with what I'm doing. So just a little bit of top end. So I'm listening to it, there's not much top end going on here. So I can hear that there's a gap, there's a space here. Quite a lot going on now, so I'm just going to sit back. Want that top string ringing, Niall. So just honestly getting loads, if we're thinking in terms of me getting the lads' chords right and their maneuvers and stuff like that, I'm all over the shop. I'm all over the shop. But I'm not in Lunasa. I'm not in that band. And if you go home with the idea that what you're going to do with Irish music is copy and paste all the chord changes that you've learned from different people doing stuff and keep it the same each time when you're playing along to a track, it will always, firstly, it's someone else's sort of arrangement on it, and secondly, it's not really, you're not having the most fun out of the music, and it's up to you guys to have fun. It's not a job being a backer. It's something that you should enjoy doing. You are the light and shade of a tune. You know, that the melody and the storyline of the tune and the direct story arc, as it were, is down to the melody player. But you're the one that paints the sky blue or grey or day or night. That's kind of up to you. So you need to, the more we add to our repertoire of kind of tricks, I just call them tricks. And I actually was speaking to one of my mates. He's in a band called Emar. They're doing, you know, quite a big band now. And I was just chatting to him yesterday about this, and we were saying that a lot of the time it's just blagging. You're just, you know, backing, whether it's bowron or it's guitar or bazooka or whatever. Half the job, lads, is blagging it. It's just, Jan, do you know what blagging means? Can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry, I don't. Okay. Tell me.
So blagging is when it's kind of, another way of putting it is bullshitting somebody. It's a bit like bullshitting, but it's a bit like you're not really qualified for the job, but you kind of, you make out that you are good for it. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, I'm not really very good at surfing, but I'll just get away with it. Or, you know, another one, you could argue that some of the government ministers are blagging it at the moment. You know, they're not quite capable of what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway, and they're kind of making out that they know what they're doing. That's kind of what blagging is. It's like a sort of nice way of putting that. And
so, Tad, sorry to cut in, but I definitely would have been like, yeah, very influenced if I'm listening to Lunasa or the other stuff we've had. I'm very likely to be influenced by what's already there. Would there be any recordings that you recommend that just have the tune? You know, something that would be just.
Do you know what, Niall? Not to my knowledge, and to be honest with you, it's a really good point, man. But I would still suggest you guys play along to Lunasa and other tracks. Don't mistake learning what they do. You guys might already be on the right path with this. I'm just making sure we're all on the same page, or you're at least on my page in terms of understanding what I'm saying. You don't have to follow what my advice, but you're not learning their moves and their grooves 100%. You are still influenced by them. But when I listen to Donna and Trevor play guitar and bass respectively, I'm responding in like to what they're doing. And if they fill a spot in the music, instead of learning what they do and filling that exact same spot, which is great, don't get me wrong. If I was in a band with them, I'd probably have to learn what they're doing. But I'm not teaching you guys how to be band musicians. I'm teaching you guys how to enjoy the guitar in a live session scenario so that you can give the best soundscape that you possibly can, so that other people can enjoy your soundscape, you can enjoy theirs, and you create something together. Of course, there needs to be cohesion, and there needs to be an understanding of the music that you're playing. But if you're listening to Lunasa and treating it like a session, you're gonna be able to learn more tricks, more blagging techniques. You know, so one of them, which, you know, is just, he's got a completely different tuning system for a start, lads. So that's me just kind of, I've perfected a technique on a guitar because I nicked it off bazooki. It works across the board on those instruments. Patrick, worth getting a bazooki just to try it. 1, 2, 3. It's like a 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and you know, it just. And then I can just use those strings just to paint a bit of a picture behind it. And I don't have to then, I'm not pissing on their parade, if you know, pardon the crude saying there. It's just, I'm finding a space that the lads haven't covered, and I'm filling it because it works with what they're doing. If I was to do something, you know, if I'm not good enough and I haven't got enough musical awareness, which is, you know, that many people don't have a very good musical awareness, I might just suddenly start putting in a chord like that where it definitely doesn't work. But guys, remember, you are using an open tuning system here, and we're capoing up to be open in A minor. So abuse it, use it and abuse it. All you need is a strong right hand, which is in time, and it's got a good vibe to it. If your right hand vibe is bad and it doesn't have a good feel to it, you're losing the battle instantly, because you're not going to be keeping that energy going and that feel. But if your right hand is just maintaining the lightest touch where needed, or the picking touch when needed, or the strumming, heavier strumming that's needed, or dampening, then you're going to lose. But with this hand, you've really got very little that you have to do, and you can really just, this is almost just making sure that this keeps sounding amazing. That's all it does, really. I mean, you know, just a bit of that does absolutely fuck all, but it's just enough to make a string sort of, you know, a note kind of, you know, and it's just a little blagging effect, lads. Let's cover one of them anyway. So just a nice, simple, we've looked at this before. David, questions?
No, I wanted to just chime in on the blagging point, because it's something that you've mentioned before, and I think I get what you're driving at, in that you're sort of trying to push us away from seeing the music as fixed. So because a lot of our backgrounds in music is probably in, you know, rock or genres where there's a kind of, these are the chords you play to play that song, and you're trying to kind of move us away from that, and I get it. But I suppose the thing is, it strikes me that you have a kind of a very solid background in playing, you know, umpteen hours of sessions, in gigging, in, you know, you from what I remember from your background, you know, you've done like a lot of busking, and there's a kind of, there are these very, very anchored things that have to be in place before the blagging works. So like you just mentioned the rhythm stuff, but also that, like, the knowledge of the tunes, you know, you have a real kind of sensitivity to what's happening in a room full of musicians. And I'm not sure I'm kind of there with my music, if you see what I mean, in those respects.
I get that, and I understand what you're saying there. And it's just like, you don't want to sort of come into a session with a kind of like open view of, you know, that is 100% true. You don't, at the moment when you're still unsure of the music, you're still unsure of how the tune works. But I think there's a point where I never, from the day one, it's about going in respecting the music, but knowing that you can, there is maneuverability in when you're playing along. Because I started playing Bower onto the Chieftains, I never copied Kevin Kneff's playing down to the beat, you know, down to the every ornamentation. I never did any of that. I just did my own thing. And it was, going back to what Niall said, you will get influenced by the tracks. That's why, answering Niall's question as well, is it's better for you guys to play along to good bands and the sound that you like, and get influenced by that, because you have to be really fucking tone deaf to start playing, you know, shite chords over Luna's stuff, you know, if I say, you know, it has to be really bad for you, you know, as a musician for you guys, if one of you is doing that, and if that is the case, there's not much that can be done there. But I don't think any of you in this room here have a problem with understanding the feel and stuff. Jan, you've got great understanding of feel and vibe with it and stuff, and it's just it might take you ages to pinpoint exactly what Donna Hennessy is doing with Luna Sir, but it shouldn't stop you from actually picking up the guitar. And even if, I mean, you know, I'm using Jan here as an example, guys, because I know how well Jan responds to a vibe and a session and stuff, but I'm worried that not enough of you are sort of just getting on with this track and enjoying it without worrying about what the fuck is Donna Hennessy doing. Jan, you could do something very simple, which I know you do really well, holding that root chord. It's about coming up with a bit of a lick, guys. It's a 4/4 timing. It's not rocket science. And you know, David, you've got so many sort of you know, ideas of sort of licks that you could do. They come into rock music. Utilize them. You know, Mick, you're the same. You've got these kind of licks in your head and stuff. Just something like that. Repetitive. I guarantee you that'll work with Lord Mayo. I guarantee it.
Can I just ask on a practical point? But so let's say you're in a session, and there are two other guitars in the room. It's a big session. We're talking like, I don't know, the ICC or somewhere where there are plenty of musicians. Yeah. Would you be thinking and kind of listening in and going, all right, so there's somebody over there who's playing chords very strong, so I'm going to not do that. I'm going to try and put in a lick that's not necessarily strong on the chords. That's someone who's got the rhythm sorted. Or would you think like, all right, so they're doing those chords, I'm going to try and harm, like, what's your thought process in a room full of people to try, so that when we are listening to those tracks, we can kind of treat the track like that?
Okay, it's a really good question. Sessions are a nightmare, lads. And I'll tell you why. It's because most people haven't really bothered to really get behind the music like you guys are you know, doing. So you do end up with guitarists that will come in and they will and there's nothing you can feckin' do about that. There's nothing you can do about it because they're on their footing on that. Every now and again, like let's say that David, for example, me and you are often at the ICC session together and stuff. And we, you know, if I was to pick up the guitar and you were with guitar as well, the idea, I would be looking for a musician in a session and hoping, you can only hope, lads, that they are kind of under the impression that, okay, we're both painting the sky here. So what are you going to do? It's not, you're not going to have this conversation, but this is the instant kind of thing that goes on. All right, David, you're definitely painting the sky blue here. So I'm just going to put in the odd cloud. So you might be going. And if that keeps on going, it'd be great if we were all actually in the same room right now, lads, because I'd be able to make this point better. But if David was doing that, you know, just laying down a strong rhythmic groove. So I'm doing something a bit lighter. It's not something David's covering. And then let's say Mick comes into the room as well with the guitar. We're starting to get worried, lads. It's like, fucking hell, the guitars are all building up here and the whistle players and fiddle players are all going, Jesus Christ. But that's fine because Mick's got the same understanding that you know, me and David have got. So he's listening to the music. He's going, all right, so those guys are painting that bit of the picture. I'm going to do something else. and suddenly you've got it's a bit like more and more fingers covering the piano, but they're not all covering the same notes. They're actually sort of splaying out more, and you're just getting more colors going on, you know. And it's, you know, I'll be honest with you, if Sean then turned up, I mean, it'd be that point we'd just say, Sean, feck off to the bar, you know. It's just, there's 3 of us already, you know. There is a point when it's just, there's too many, you know. My point really is this is more to do with playing along to tracks, playing along to Luna Sub, Danu, Donal Lunny stuff, Mike McGoldrick stuff, whatever, you know, Dervish. When you're at home, don't worry about where the chords are going, lads. It's just, if you start trying to pin it down and writing it all down and trying to figure out where are the chord maneuvers, that is like you're trying to join their band. And trust me, it's not fun. I fucking hate learning music for gigs. It's dull as fuck. And it's, don't get me wrong, once you've learned it and you're out on stage, it's great crack. But if someone said to me, I've got the gig for you, you've just, there's 2 tunes, one in A minor and 1 in G. And then we might finish off in 1 in D. Just do whatever, just jam it. Perfect gig, lads. Perfect gig. You know, and that's the thing. I'm slightly worried that just looking at the thread of chat and everything that we've all been talking about with these, that you guys are kind of going down this road of trying to learn exactly what each backer is doing and sort of going, right, okay, that is how you back this track. This is the way to back this track. And then that becomes your kind of set backing for Maids of Moncisco or Lord Mayo. And my whole point is, personally, I don't think it's the right way if you guys are going to enjoy the music as much as you can do. What I'd like you to do is to find your formulas, your go-to formulas, your go-to blagging techniques, lads. And then those will be the things that you have in your arsenal that you can bring out for light or shade, for the different dynamics you need to do, that you can accompany a tune in a session or on a CD. I treat a CD and a good track like this just like I would if I was in a session. You'll know when you hit the wrong chords, lads. And guys, hit wrong chords. Hit them as much as you like, but that, you know, learn which ones are the wrong ones, and just you kind of go, all right, I'm not going to go near that one again. Trial and error. Okay, so let's just cover some very similar ones here, so that we've already got. So this one here, okay. This technique of going 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1. It's a staple that you can use constantly. It's not dissimilar to Mick's finger picking technique that he showed us a while ago, where you're basically doing that sort of technique with the pick. So the pick is even do it without this. So I'm all for that one there, is just keeping it nice and open. Is you've got that stretch up to the top and a nice pick off that. Leaving that space for the 2. Which I like to do as a hammer on. Because you've got this kind of really easy technique here of just, you know, all on the 2nd and 3rd fret. So you just keep it really simple to begin with. You can kind of go almost down from the root string. And work your way down. used to that scale going there. Does that make sense to everyone? Let's go. I'll tell you what, we've got 6 minutes 30. I'll tell you what, lads, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this one here, and I'm going to start up another one, and then we'll go around the room with that. I just want to see how that's gone round. So I'll see you in 2 secs.